Hi everyone, and welcome once again to World Leaders Summit, one of the leaders meetup. And today I have got one of our ambassador from India, one of the active one who always believes in giving back to the community as well as a techie, connecting the technology world with, of course, business. Ravikant, welcome to World Leaders Summit Leaders Meetup.
Thank you for having me here, Ajit. And as you mentioned, it's always about the contribution and the impact that you make to the community. So thank you for having me in the World Leader Summit as well.
Brilliant. Well, Ravi, there is a buzzword which is happening, I think, for the last couple of months, I would say a year, when Facebook announced about Meta and they declared that it is going to be Metaverse, to be very precise. Could you please enlighten our audience? What is the history behind Metaverse? How exactly it evolved and why now Metaverse concept is coming?
Sure. So first, let me start with what has happened so far, as you mentioned, history. So it would be very good for our audience to know that the first VR system, first ever VR system in the world was made in 1962,
Yep.
1960 time. And since that moment, right, that the tech industry has been envisioning what would be the next stage of leveraging VR as a technology for us. So the metaverse concept has been there in the industry for a while. It's more than 60 years now that it has been there. So there is a lot of evolution that has happened in that stage. There was 60s when it was started, then there was 80s that something happened with computers and things got ahead. Something happened with metaverse in 90s and so on and so forth. And today we are in the very initial stage of using it for public usage. So with Facebook, Microsoft, Apple getting into it, it's getting more into the public domain. But want to also take out the myth that it is a new thing. It may be a new concept for the general public, but it has been in the industry. You have been in the gaming industry for a while, Arjit, yourself. So you know how the evolution has been there for metaverse
Yeah,
yourselves.
actually, it started like if you talk about VR systems, it used to be not headset, it used to be helmet systems once upon a
Yeah.
time. And it used to be virtual reality markup language. The complete system was different. Those are probably the golden era where we used to code on the hardware rather than the easiest thing that probably we have with the engines and a couple of other things that is there in today's world. So core level programming always was there, is there, and it will be there. And you are right. The concept, solo concept of metaverse is not actually new. It's like probably I would say a proverb from the English, old wine in a new bottle. So that's gonna happen probably. But yeah, would love to understand the metaverse as a concept, as a business concept, and the psychology and neuroscience of decisions in metaverse. There will be a lot of different kind of disruption which we can see together. It's coming up. If you can share a little bit, maybe our audience can understand what's gonna be there in next couple of decades now.
Sure. So if you can look at psychology of metaverse, right? Metaverse is something. Let me first give a very simple definition of metaverse along with this. So metaverse is a term that is used when we think about how can we dematerialize the surrounding that we are currently in the reality, right? We have material stuffs around us, the construction, the banks, the transport system, all those are material things. How could we bring them into the virtual environment? So the dematerialization of the surrounding is termed as metaverse. Right? And if we look at what actually is the psychology behind doing something influential in the real world, it's the appreciation or the adrenaline rush that you get. Once you do that, once you get that, that promotes you, that motivates you to do something more ahead as well. So it's the same psychology that goes into metaverse as well. The neurology or the psychology behind leveraging metaverse more and more is the adrenaline rush that you get behind winning something. So let's take an example game, games, right? Why do people play games again and again? It's because of the winning ability, because you get that rush within you when you win a game, which is what is also linked back to metaverse. And there, the possibility expands in a virtual environment, right? So the things that you can be doing in real world, the things that are limiting you to do in the real world are something that you can push out in the metaverse. So the ability to do way more is again one of the psychological behavior that makes people go into metaverse more and more.
Brilliant. But don't you feel that when people are using more and more these kind of virtual reality, or rather, I think I would say extended reality experience, don't you feel there will be an impact in human brains? Because as per the reports, if I'm not wrong, anybody who is utilizing such kind of VR devices continuously for more than probably 17 minutes, there'll be an
Yeah.
impact in their brain, and that's not very nice. What's your
Yeah.
views on that?
I think these are initial warnings that are always there for any new technological advancements. Technology are always meant to be leveraged as a tool to enhance human capability, right? Uh, the usage of internet is supposed to happen to support human beings to do a lot more and then get connected to the world, right? So if you look at VR or any of the virtual reality technologies, they are also meant for you to do or enhance the ability that you have. Now, overutilization of anything is a problem, but underutilization of anything could limit your growth as well.
True. True.
Those initial barriers, which they have been there. If you see electric cars, right? There were initial barriers in that industry as well. Internet, there was initial barrier about privacy and frauds and scams. They are initial barriers which would go away as the technology advances. And I am a very strong believer about human capability. So with our desire and curiosity, definitely things will shape up much better in terms of helping humans use it more and more.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So talking about the same, when you talk about adopting technology, in today's world, frankly speaking, the terms like AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, of course, blockchain, when we take that name, we come up with cryptocurrencies. We talk about digital wallets. We talk about digital banks, which is coming up very, very fast. Like people are adopting it almost every corner. And after the new resolution which has been passed in India, more and more crypto investors has been increased like anything. So in terms of metaverse development, these technologies definitely will play a great impact. But I would
Yeah.
love to understand what you see as a futuristic way of getting all these things coming together in common platform. For an example, the cryptos, the wallets, the IoTs, the AI, the AR, VR, mainly the deep tech segment, connecting the metaverse development.
Yep. Sure. Yeah, that's a wonderful question, Arjit. Let me break it down into about 6 technologies where metaverse is developing currently. They start with VR, of course. Then we have a 3D reconstruction. As I was saying, it is about dematerializing these surroundings. There's AR, there's blockchain and cryptocurrency, there's Internet of Things, and there's artificial intelligence. These are 6 are the building blocks of metaverse development. And the whole purpose of this technologies is to use together to build on metaverse. If you take one, the ability of growth in the technology gets limited. That's why all 6 have to work together in some form or the other. Let me give you a small example of each of them, right? Virtual reality, we all know about the games and everything that has been developed on metaverse so far. Blockchain, we know about cryptocurrency, which will hold up the financial institutes in metaverse. 3D reconstruction and augmented reality are something that are currently done for, let's say, e-commerce industry. You might have seen some things coming up on, a shopping apps where you can just scan something and things would go and come up on your mobile phone. That's AR and 3D reconstruction. Internet of Things is pretty interesting, right? This is an important connection between the metaverse and reality. Now, another important part about metaverse is how do you make the virtual and the real world connected?
Yeah.
So let's say, let me give an example. If someone is using metaverse application and they like a particular product in metaverse and they use it, they feel comfortable using it, and they want to buy it in the real world as well. Now, this IoT devices are the one which will connect a metaverse to the real world. They would know what a person has been doing in the metaverse, their likings, their dislikings, their comfort, and they would get the real surroundings around them in the same manner. So they're pretty interesting connection between real and the metaverse, and of course, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a pretty interesting uh, connection in metaverse because it enhances a user's comfort and usability of metaverse by making it more suitable for individual, more personalized experience. And the usage of AI in metaverse is an important element that would drive ahead the adoption of metaverse as well, because it becomes more personalized, it becomes suitable for individual to use. So they are the six technologies that, if used together, will drive the adoption ahead.
So if I'm not wrong, if we are talking about technologies, technology is always a connector between industry and the implementation. So in my words, technology always simplifies human efforts, probably. And when we talk about such kind of technologies, which is coming together in common one platform, there must be a huge industrial application, if I'm not wrong.
Yep.
So maybe in a nutshell, if you can touch upon few bit of industrial application of metaverse, it will be great.
Sure. So let me give a very common industrial application, right? One is around games, right? The games that are used in metaverse right now. If you see that the development of metaverse is not just about how you play a game or whether you win or not, or making it more complex. The development of the metaverse has been more around how does this applications bring real world in sort of a virtual environment. So there would be some banking industries within metaverse. You would see JP Morgan investing a lot more in metaverse nowadays because they have those elements in some of the metaverse applications. They connect it back, right? If you do any transaction in metaverse, right, that is going to then show up on your real banking statement. So that's where the financial technologies get connected. That's where the blockchain utilization comes in the picture. So that's a big utilization of that. The second one, as I mentioned, is around luxury products. Companies like Gucci, companies like Louis Vuitton are going ahead, investing a lot more in the metaverse industry so that they could have their luxury products, luxury lines of it, onto the metaverse, because they have identified a customer segment in the metaverse domain right now, which could be a potential customers for them in future. Let me give an example on this, right? This is a pretty interesting one. How do you buy a luxury product? You see it on some celebrity using it, on some of the influencers using it, then you develop the admiration for it, or you have seen it somewhere or have used it for once. Now, this same feeling is being generated by the psychological and the neurological behavior that I was talking about in the metaverse, and that's how they are connecting it back to the real world. So these are two main important application right now, Arjit, which is going around. And if you ask me which are some of the major players in this industry, they are Meta, they are Apple, they are Microsoft, all the major ones, right? There are NVIDIA that are making chips to make sure that it's there. There's Unity software, which are making games and making sure that the integration is done well. So these are some of them.
True. So what do you think? I mean, definitely there will be biggies who will be coming in this picture, and there is a high chance that people who don't understand what is metaverse, they will start a promotion that they build a metaverse, which is probably just a 2.D platform wherein people can maybe log in into a cartoonish way, and then they can probably listen to others in a big screen, which is basically a floated API from a video conferencing platform. You know what? A couple of people actually started making a statement that this is metaverse which they have created. Any thoughts on this? Do you feel that this is metaverse?
Uh, I think they are they're trying to sell the concept, but they are not there in terms of building the actual metaverse. There are some successful cases, as I mentioned, the big players which are making it, but there are some others as well. The whole concept of metaverse goes back to how you how you leverage the virtual world, and how do you make sure that it's connected back to the real world. So softwares and all those things that are used daily, they do possess the metaverse ability, some of them. But I would say it's still in very early stage. And then there is a long growth curve that we will see very soon. So there's a difference in between taking on the lead on metaverse, and there is a difference between developing the actual concept. As I've been saying, right, like it was there since the 60s. There's a growth curve in that. There's a lot of science that goes behind it, right? For example, the AI technology that I was mentioning, eyesight movement is also a key part of how you interact in metaverse.
Yep.
AI will be tracking your eyesight movement, and which is an interesting factor for you. Advertisements, all those would be data collection that will happen.
True, true. So what will be the biggest value proposition, if I may ask you, from the perspective of any company who is maybe a growth stage company? Maybe they are into garment manufacturing, maybe a stylish garment manufacturing company with some luxury item. You feel that there is a high possibility of these companies to come up with their own metaverse and then build an entire ecosystem of their own consumers worldwide and grow their business?
Sure. That's a very good question, Arjit. Let me list down, or let me put it in different buckets. So the application, as I mentioned earlier, are in different buckets. One is the gaming industry. Second is the social media. Education is another one. Workspace automation, workspace related metaverse is also an add-on application for that. There's communication, which is also an application, fashion, e-commerce, and trade. So these are the big applications on this. Now, when we talk about value proposition, we also have to look at value architecture and also the profit equation, right? So if you see gaming industry currently is the one that is generating most of the revenue in the metaverse industry, because it hooks up a user, and the hooked user is what creates most of the revenue for them.
True.
The cost is the least as compared to the rest of the other applications, because gaming industry has the leverage of the virtual characters and all. So the cost is less to transfer to the metaverse for them. Capital, that is again the capital invested into it, is high, and there's a less social interaction as compared to, let's say, a social application of metaverse. So if you take that industry, it's a very your P&L statements will look good because the revenue is high in that. The other one is social media. The value proposition over there is to make people connect with each other that are staying on different places. Let's say, I know in this COVID period, what has happened, Arjit, is people have realized how impactful it is to have a face-to-face meeting, right? How impactful those days were. So people want to get out of this Zoom era, and they want to meet each other face-to-face more. So this is where the social media application of metaverse comes into picture. It makes sure, what Facebook brought in, or what Orkut brought in a long time back, the social interaction ability, that's a pretty high one. I'm sure a lot of people would be surprised to know education as also a value proposition for metaverse application, because if you see a lot of surveys have shared that people find it difficult, especially professors find it difficult to transfer the right knowledge to the students with this virtual settings that we are with the Zoom calls and with the virtual calls. So they want to make sure that they are with the students over there so that they can help them teach and also help them grow. Because a lot of time you have been a teacher yourself already, so you know how important it is to not just talk about a concept, but also to make sure that your students learn it.
True.
So there's a big difference in both of them. So education becomes a key part of metaverse. Workspace, again, coming back on the same value proposition, making people come together. The cost invested is high in workspace because you have to get every element in your workspace into the virtual world. So the cost invested is high. The social interaction is a little less. The another important aspect of metaverse is communication. This is a very high value proposition that brings in with the application over here, because if you see, communication is the basis of getting anything done. So the cost, the revenue is pretty high, the cost is low over here, but the social interaction is high. And if you see what has happened in the world so far, the social network have been a turning point of any technology, whether it's internet, whether it's anything. So the communication bit, even the telephone, even the mobile phones, they grew up because we were able to communicate via those technologies. So that brings a very good value proposition for us in metaverse, and e-commerce is one of the biggest one. If you ask me where's the most of the money right now in metaverse, that definitely is in e-commerce.
Totally agree.
P&L
Totally agree.
revenue
Totally agree.
high, cost is low, capital is low. So that's where most of the money is right now in metaverse.
Brilliant. You know, Ravi, like the way you described everything in a very easy way, I would love to probably say something from one of the finest quote that if I can't explain it to a school-going kid, then what's the point of me becoming a technologist? You are a great technologist, Ravi. I'm really, really happy to, have an interaction with you like this. Of course, we are doing it virtually, but maybe in near future, would love to have it in a physical mode, more meet each other and maybe talk and explore more and more things together. Thank you so much for all the insights, all the inputs that you have given. We'll put it in our YouTube channel in World Leader Summit. Definitely, if there is any question for the audience, feel free to comment in the comment box. Feel free to comment in our LinkedIn, because it will be there in each and every channel of ours, which is possible. And feel free to connect with him directly if you have any kind of question, any kind of business inquiry, any kind of communication. Ravi and me both will be more than happy to communicate with you and grow these things together. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all the support that you usually give to us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.